Welcome to Antique Coins Information, the channel where every old coin tells a story and every discovery could change your life. In today's video, we're diving into the top 10 most valuable rare USA coins, hidden treasures worth millions that collectors dream of finding. If you love uncovering secrets, chasing history, and learning what makes certain coins unbelievably valuable, you're in the right place. Let's get started and reveal these incredible million-dollar coins. The camera fades in slowly as if revealing a hidden treasure beneath layers of time. The tone is calm, mysterious, and inviting, pulling viewers into a world where old copper coins carry stories far bigger than their tiny size. Today, we dive deep into one of the most searched, most collected, and most surprising vintage American coins in the hobby world, the 1941 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny. A coin so common-looking that millions of people unknowingly push it aside every day, not realizing it could become one of the most unexpectedly valuable cents in their entire collection. But before we talk about rarity, before we talk about auction records, and before we explore what separates a normal circulated penny from a jaw-dropping, value-shattering treasure, let's take a step back and understand what makes this particular year special. Because 1941 wasn't just another year in coin production. It was a year standing on the edge of global change. America was months away from entering World War II, industries were shifting, metal supplies were tightening, and coin production was pushed to keep up with a nation growing in uncertainty. Yet in the middle of all this, the United States Mint produced a Lincoln cent that continues to fascinate collectors today. The 1941 no-mint Mark penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which at that time did not place a mint mark on its coins. That's why this penny carries no visible letter beneath the date. But what makes the coin interesting isn't its production numbers, because in truth, the mint struck hundreds of millions. What matters is condition. It's the survival of high-grade examples. While the coin is common in worn condition, it becomes dramatically scarcer and more desirable as its grade climbs. Most people today only find these pennies in change or in old jars stored away by grandparents. These are usually dull, scratched, and heavily circulated, which is perfectly normal for a coin that has been around more than 80 years. But hidden among them are rare survivors that never saw much circulation at all. These coins have crisp shine, nearly perfect surfaces, and razor-sharp details. Those are the coins that collectors chase, and those are the ones that can bring staggering prices at auction. Imagine flipping through a handful of old copper pennies, the sound echoing like tiny bells tapping each other. And suddenly, one coin stands out. Not because it looks different in design, but because its surface looks untouched, glowing like it did the day it was struck. The wheat stalks on the reverse are sharp, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln looks fresh, and the fields reflect light cleanly across the surface. That is the moment collectors look for. That is the moment when a simple penny transforms from pocket change into a treasure. This is why professional graders play such a major role in determining value. If you've ever wondered why some pennies sell for a few dollars while others reach tens of thousands, the answer lies in the grade. The tiniest mark or scratch can drop the value dramatically. On the other hand, complete luster, strong strike, and flawless surfaces can push the value into unbelievable territory. That's what happened with some of the highest-selling 1941 no-mint Mark pennies in the world. These were coins that never circulated, coins that managed to survive untouched through the decades, coins that only a handful of collectors were lucky enough to preserve. But rarity alone doesn't explain why demand is so strong. Part of the appeal lies in the coin's classic wheat cent design. The wheat ears on the back have become iconic symbols of early 20th century American coinage. They remind people of the history of farming, of hard labor, of a time when a penny meant something. It reminds us of the legacy of Abraham Lincoln engraved on the coin for over a century. All of this contributes to why collectors love these coins, why they spend years searching for high-grade examples, and why they're willing to pay astonishing prices when they finally find one worth competing for at auction. Another reason collectors love the 1941 penny is because it's part of the pre-steel cent era. Just 2 years later, in 1943, the U.S. Mint switched to steel due to copper shortages during the war. So the 1941 penny represents one of the last major copper issues before a dramatic shift in the minting process. This gives the coin historical importance, turning even ordinary examples into keepsakes, and high-grade examples into museum-worthy pieces. Now, imagine someone cleaning out an old desk drawer, opening a dusty tin box filled with coins saved over decades, and finding a bright red example of a 1941 penny. To the untrained eye, it's nothing more than an old cent. But to a collector or grader, it could be far more. Stories like this happen every year. A collector or even a complete beginner finds a penny worth far more than they imagined simply because they took the time to examine it closely. That's why it's important not just to know the year and mint mark of a coin, but to understand what to look for. The surface should be free of scratches and wear. The details of Lincoln's beard, coat, and bow tie should stand out cleanly. The wheat ears on the back should be sharp and bold. The coloring matters too. Coins with their original red luster command far higher premiums than brown or toned examples simply because they've retained their original mint brilliance. But the real magic comes when collectors discover varieties or errors from this year. While the 1941 no-mint mark penny is not particularly known for dramatic mint errors, subtle ones can increase value. Slight doubling, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets can turn an ordinary penny into a desirable collectible. While these may not reach the staggering high grades that dominate auction records, they still add excitement to the hunt and increase the potential for profit. Over the decades, collectors have become more educated, auction houses have documented rare pieces, and interest in early Lincoln cents has skyrocketed. Every time a high-grade 1941 no-mint mark penny sells at auction, collectors flock to their own coin collections to see if they might have a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. And that excitement grows each year as new collectors join the hobby, turning something as simple as a penny into a piece filled with history and potential value. Even though the coin was minted in massive numbers, the number of pristine examples is extremely small. Think about the millions of pockets, drawers, jars, and cash registers these coins pass through. Think about the years of friction, dust, sweat, and wear. The miracle isn't that so many survived. The miracle is that any of them survived in perfect condition at all. These are the coins that cause bidding wars, coins that surprise collectors who never expected them to reach such levels of value, and coins that make people look twice at every wheat penny they find. So, when you're searching through rolls, coin jars, or old collections, don't underestimate the importance of this year. The 1941 no-mint mark penny is a beloved classic, a collectible that represents an era of American history, and for the lucky few, it can be an incredibly valuable treasure hiding in plain sight. And now we arrive at the moment you've been waiting for, the highest recorded prices that collectors and investors have paid for one of these coins. Remember, these represent the elite, the top of the top, the finest known examples that have survived more than 8 decades without losing their brilliance. And that record-breaking price for a stunning 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny reached an amazing $67,477. The story of the United States Kennedy half-dollar is one of the most fascinating chapters in modern American coinage, and stepping into the year 1977 brings us face-to-face with a coin that quietly hides incredible value in today's collector market. When many people look at a half-dollar from the 1970s, especially one with a Denver mint mark, they assume it's just a common piece of pocket change, something ordinary, something forgettable. But the truth is far from ordinary, and the deeper you look, the more surprising this coin becomes. Imagine holding a coin that has been touched by history for nearly half a century, a coin that survived decades of circulation, changes in the American economy, and shifts in collector demand. Now picture that same coin turning out to be so rare in a certain condition that collectors today are willing to pay life-changing amounts of money for it. That is the unexpected story behind the 1977 D. Kennedy half-dollar. As the coin enters our hands, we must first understand the era in which it was minted. The year 1977 was a time of significant change in the United States. The Vietnam War had ended. The nation's bicentennial celebration had passed just a year before, and Americans were moving into a new period of renewed pride in national symbols. This shift brought more attention to coins once again. The Kennedy half-dollar, already iconic for its tribute to President John F. Kennedy, was still a beloved denomination, though it was used far less often in everyday transactions due to its size and declining popularity in commerce. Still, millions of these coins were minted, and among them were the pieces struck at the Denver Mint, easily identified by the bold D Mint mark. What most people don't realize, however, is that even though millions were produced, the majority of these coins suffered from extremely weak strikes, bag marks, and general wear. The Denver Mint in the late 1970s was producing large quantities of coins quickly, which often resulted in coins with less than ideal detail. Because of this, finding a perfect or near-perfect example of a 1977 D. Kennedy half-dollar today is a true challenge. And when a coin becomes difficult to find in high grades, its value begins to rise dramatically. Now imagine that coin being preserved in flawless condition for almost 5 decades. Imagine its surfaces untouched, its luster glowing like the day it left the mint, its details sharp with every line of Kennedy's profile perfectly struck. That is the type of coin collectors dream of finding, and the type of coin that brings big money at auctions. Before we get into how valuable this coin can become, let's talk about what makes this particular year special. For the 1977 D. Kennedy half-dollar, the metal composition was still the standard copper-nickel clad used throughout most of the series after 1971. That means the value is not connected to silver or any precious metal content. Instead, the rarity is tied entirely to condition, eye appeal, strike sharpness, and collector demand. This combination is powerful, because it creates a scenario where a coin worth only 50 cents in general circulation can become worth thousands when discovered in exceptional quality. Collectors pay special attention to several features when grading a 1977 D half-dollar. They look closely at President Kennedy's hair, which is one of the most difficult design elements to strike sharply. The curls near the top of the head and above the ear must be crisp and well-defined. They also inspect the cheek and jawline for clean surfaces, free of distracting marks. On the reverse, the eagle's wings and the details around the shield must be strong, with clear lines and minimal flattening. Any imperfections can easily push the grade down, and every small downgrade can significantly reduce the value. Because these coins were never expected to become rare, very few were saved in pristine condition. Most ended up in cash registers, bank rolls, or circulation bags where they accumulated scratches, nicks, and dull surfaces. The few surviving high-grade examples were typically saved unintentionally, perhaps slipped into a drawer or forgotten in a roll of half-dollars untouched for decades. And that's what makes this coin so exciting, hidden treasure that may still be sitting in people's homes without them realizing it. People often ask how they can tell if their coin is one of the rare and valuable ones. The key is to examine the coin under good lighting. Look for shining luster, very sharp details, and minimal contact marks. A coin that is nearly flawless to the naked eye could be one of the ultra-rare high-grade examples worth sending to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Professional grading can transform an ordinary coin into one that collectors aggressively bid on because it offers a verified guarantee of quality. One of the most remarkable things about this coin is how dramatically its value jumps between grades. A 1977 D. Kennedy half-dollar in average circulated condition is usually worth only its face value. Even in uncirculated condition, many examples are common. But when the coin crosses into the highest levels, coins that grade MS66, MS67, or beyond, that is where the magic begins. In these rare upper levels, every tiny detail matters, and collectors compete intensely for the finest known examples. Think about it this way: if millions were minted, yet only a handful have survived in near-perfect form, then those few coins become treasures. The very best examples often go straight to major auctions, where determined bidders are waiting. These collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying rarity, perfection, and a piece of American history that has been frozen in time. Now let's take a journey into what it feels like to uncover such a coin. Imagine you find an old roll of half-dollars that has been sitting untouched for decades. You open it without expecting anything special, but then one coin shines brighter than the rest. Its surfaces flash under the light like a mirror, its edges crisp, its details razor-sharp. You examine it and realize you may be holding something extraordinary. You send it for grading, and weeks later the results come back, a top-tier grade, something almost never seen. That is the kind of moment collectors dream about, a moment when a 50-cent coin becomes a prize worth an unbelievable amount of money, and that dream has already come true for someone. In one of the most astonishing auction results for this coin, a 1977 D. Kennedy $50 and an extremely high grade stunned the collecting world when it sold for the mind-blowing amount that will be mentioned at the end of this script. The reason behind such a price is simple yet powerful. Collectors want the very best. They want the finest example known to exist. And when only a tiny number of these coins reach that elite status, the value skyrockets. This is why, even though millions were minted, only the rarest and most superbly preserved pieces become truly valuable. So if you ever come across a 1977 D. Kennedy $50, do not ignore it. Don't assume it's just pocket change. Examine it carefully. Clean it? No, never clean a coin, as that destroys value. But study it, appreciate it, and if it looks nearly flawless, consider getting it professionally graded. You never know. You might be holding a hidden treasure that could change your life in an instant. The story of the 1977 D. Kennedy $50 is a reminder that in numismatics, the smallest details can make the biggest difference. Ordinary coins can hide extraordinary value. And the most surprising discoveries often come from the most unexpected places. And now we come to the moment collectors always wait for. The highest known auction price ever paid for a 1977 D. Kennedy $50 in superb condition. That unbelievable amount was $47,747. If you're a coin collector, a treasure hunter, or someone who simply enjoys discovering hidden value in everyday pocket change, then you already know how fascinating the world of United States coins can be. Among them all, the Kennedy $50 stands out as one of the most iconic and deeply admired coins in American history. Today, we are diving deep into one specific coin that continues to surprise collectors all over the world, not because it's ancient, not because it's made of silver, but because it holds unexpected value that many people never imagine. This coin is the United States of America 2000 D Mint Mark Kennedy $50, a coin minted at the Denver Mint. A coin that millions of Americans have handled without ever realizing its hidden potential. Even though the year 2000 may not feel very far away, the Kennedy $50 from this year has already become a charming piece of modern American numismatics. The U.S. Mint produced millions of these coins, meant mostly for collectors and not for regular circulation. This means that while many people never saw them in their daily transactions, the few that made it into the public quietly built a reputation as sleeper treasures. Some of these coins have now become extremely valuable based on rarity, preservation, strike quality, and unique minting errors that turned a regular coin into something collectors will pay thousands to to understand why the 2000 D Kennedy $50 gets so much attention. We need to go back to its origins. The Kennedy $50 series began in 1964. Following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Americans were filled with emotion, and the coin quickly became a symbol of national respect and remembrance. For decades afterward, the Kennedy series continued to evolve with changes in metal composition, production numbers, and collector demand. By the time the year 2000 arrived, the Kennedy $50 was mostly minted for collectors rather than for circulation. This is one of the biggest reasons why high-grade examples are so desirable today. Fewer coins were used in everyday commerce, which means fewer were scratched, damaged, or worn. Now let's talk about the 2000 D Mint Mark specifically. Denver minted coins used a modern minting system that could produce exceptionally sharp details under perfect conditions. But because of how coins were packaged and handled, not all of them survived in pristine state. Only a small percentage of 2000 D Kennedy $50 show flawless mirror-like surfaces, strong strike clarity, and flawless luster. These top-condition coins are the ones that make collectors excited. Another major factor contributing to the rising value of this coin is the explosion of coin grading. In the past, people kept coins based on appearance alone. But today, Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a precise scale, certifying their quality and authenticity. A perfectly preserved 2000 D Kennedy half-dollar can receive grades such as MS-67 or MS-68, and this is where the value skyrockets. The difference between MS-65 and MS-68 may seem minor, but in the world of coin collecting, these small differences in sharpness, shine, and surface marks can mean thousands of dollars in price difference. But condition alone is not the only thing giving the 2000 D Kennedy half-dollar its notable worth. Some collectors search for mint errors, small mistakes that happen during the minting process. These errors transform a regular coin into something rare, something unique, something that no other collector can claim to have. Examples of known valuable errors on the 2000 D Kennedy half-dollar include double dies, off-center strikes, rotated dies, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. A harmless-looking flaw, one that the naked eye might miss, can instantly increase the coin's value by thousands. Imagine this for a moment. A coin that was not even meant to be used in everyday circulation suddenly becomes a collector's dream simply because of a tiny minting defect. These stories fill auction houses, numismatic conferences, and collector forums. And every time one of these high-grade, rare 2000 D Kennedy half-dollars is discovered, it attracts fierce competition. Collectors want it, dealers want it, museums want it. The demand continues to rise, and with it, the value. Beyond value, there's also the charm of owning a Kennedy half-dollar. These coins carry the powerful image of President John F. Kennedy on the obverse. The design captures him in a strong, confident profile, a reminder of American history, leadership, and change. The reverse shows the imposing presidential coat of arms, with the eagle holding arrows and an olive branch, representing both strength and peace. Every collector who holds a Kennedy half-dollar is holding a piece of the American story. Now, for the 2000 D version, the design is the same, but the condition of the strike varies. Coins preserved in sealed U.S. mint sets from the year 2000 often survive in high quality. But coins that somehow entered circulation will show signs of wear, making them less valuable. This is why collectors search for coins directly from mint sets or certified by grading companies. The highest value coins are those that survived in immaculate condition without the tiniest scratch or mark. Collectors often wonder what makes a modern coin suddenly rise in value. With the 2000 D Kennedy half-dollar, it comes down to a special combination: low circulation, high demand for Kennedy series coins, increasing interest in modern U.S. mint issues, and the rarity of perfect condition specimens. On top of that, the growing popularity of YouTube coin channels, online auctions, and numismatic social media groups has brought a wave of new collectors into the hobby. When thousands of people compete for the same few coins with high grades, the market reacts the only way it can, by increasing the value. Let's also consider another important factor: nostalgia. People who were born around the 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s are now entering their prime collecting years. They want coins from their childhood, their parents' generation, or coins that remind them of the turn of the millennium. The 2000 D Kennedy half-dollar naturally fits into this category. As demand grows from younger collectors who want to start with affordable but meaningful modern coins, prices will continue to rise. Collectors often ask which specific features to look for in a 2000 D Kennedy half-dollar. The answer is simple but crucial. Always check the mint mark below Kennedy's chin. Look for the crisp D mint mark for authenticity. Then analyze the luster. A brilliant, shiny surface with no dull patches is a good sign of high grade. Next, examine the details on Kennedy's hair and the eagle's wings on the reverse. Sharp, clear lines often indicate a higher mint state grade. Finally, examine the coin under magnification to see if any unique errors or abnormalities exist. Even a tiny doubling on letters or numbers can significantly increase the coin's value. The fascinating part of this hobby is that anyone can find a treasure, whether in a coin jar, an old bankroll, a family collection, or a forgotten mint set stored in a drawer for decades. And that is exactly why people love coin hunting. The possibility that a single coin, something so simple, so small, so familiar, could be worth more than anyone ever expected. The 2000 Kennedy half-dollar represents this excitement perfectly. Even though millions were minted, only a small number exist today in top condition or with rare errors. These coins become hidden gems, quietly sitting until the right collector recognizes their worth. After analyzing auction results, rarity factors, grading trends, and collector demand, one thing becomes absolutely clear: under the right combination of condition and rarity. Some examples of the United States of America 2000 Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar have sold for an astonishing price of $38,466. $38,466. If you've ever held a small silver-colored dime and wondered whether it might be worth far more than the 10 cents printed on it, today's video is going to open your eyes to a world most people completely overlook. Because right now, in pockets, in drawers, in old jars sitting on dusty shelves, and even in your car's cup holder, there may be a coin hiding in plain sight that collectors are actively searching for. And that coin is the United States of America 2001 Mint Mark Roosevelt 1 dime. At first glance, this coin looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. It circulates just like every other dime. But beneath its simple appearance is a fascinating story of minting errors, hidden varieties, unexpected demand, and surprising auction results that have made some collectors willing to pay thousands of dollars for the right example. When people think about valuable coins, they often imagine ancient pieces of gold, rare silver dollars from the 1800s, or rare pennies from decades ago. But the 2001 Roosevelt dime belongs to a special category: modern coins that transformed from common to collectible thanks to the smallest production details. The Denver Mint struck millions of these coins, which means most 2001 dimes are still only worth face value. However, a tiny percentage left the mint with unusual features, misaligned dies, double designs, or sharp uncirculated luster that was never meant to appear in circulation. Those elite few coins have become the target of serious collectors, grading companies, and even new hobbyists hoping to find a rare treasure. To truly understand the value of the 2001 Roosevelt dime, you have to take a step back and look at the history of the series. The Roosevelt dime has been in production since 1946, created as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death. Over the decades, its composition changed from silver to a copper-nickel clad, its mintage numbers rose and fell, and its design remained almost entirely unchanged. That familiarity is what makes rare variations stand out so much. When millions of people have seen the same coin every day for decades, even the smallest difference becomes extremely noticeable to experts. Now, what makes the 2001 dime particularly interesting is the year itself. During the early 2000s, the US Mint was producing coins at extremely high volumes, and that scale sometimes led to unexpected striking problems. Some dies wore out faster than usual. Others became misaligned. A few were polished too aggressively. And sometimes coins were struck more than once or with a rotated orientation. Any of these conditions can produce a collectible error coin. Imagine looking at your dime under a bright light and noticing that the letters or numbers appear doubled or shadowed. That's known as doubling, and specific types of doubling can raise a coin's value dramatically. Or imagine discovering a dime with a slightly off-center strike, where the border is thicker on one side than the other. Off-center errors are instantly noticeable and very popular. Then there are broad strike errors, which occur when the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads outward, giving it a larger than normal shape. Even more dramatic are wrong planchet errors, where the dime is accidentally struck on metal meant for another coin. These can sell for thousands. But even without errors, some 2001 dimes can command strong prices for one simple reason: condition. Most 2001 dimes entered circulation immediately, rubbing against other coins, wearing down their surface, and losing their original mint shine. That's why a flawless, untouched, uncirculated 2001 dime with a strong strike and immaculate details can easily catch the attention of grading companies. Coins graded at the highest levels, especially in mint state 68 or 69, can attract serious bidding wars because collectors want perfection, something extremely hard to find in modern mass-production coins. Let's take a moment to imagine the journey of an ordinary dime versus a rare one. A regular 2001D dime might have gone through countless hands, dropped on floors, spent in vending machines, washed in laundry cycles, or rattled around in pockets and jars. Its once sharp edges would soften, the torch and olive branches would lose definition, and the fine lines in Roosevelt's hair would fade. But the rare dime, the one that never entered circulation, would still glow with frosty luster. Light would dance across its surface exactly the way the mint intended. Under magnification, every ridge, every line, every tiny detail would appear crisp and untouched. That kind of beauty is what collectors pay a premium for. What makes this story even more exciting is that anyone watching this video might unknowingly own one of these hidden gems. You don't need expensive tools. You don't need deep numismatic knowledge. All you need is curiosity, good lighting, and patience. Start by checking the mint mark. A small letter D located on the coin's obverse, near Roosevelt's neck, tells you the coin was minted in Denver. Then examine the coin's surfaces. Look for scratches, dings, wear, or discoloration. A valuable dime needs clean fields and clear details. After that, check the design carefully. Are the letters thicker than usual? Are the numbers slightly doubled? Does the coin look slightly stretched, off-center, or oddly shaped? Any unusual feature could mean you're holding something special. Collectors also love coins that come with grading certification from companies like PCGS or NGC. These grading slabs not only authenticate the coin but also preserve its condition permanently. A 2001D dime that's graded high can bring far more money than an ungraded one simply because buyers trust the certification. So if you ever find a dime that looks flawless or has a striking error, getting it graded might be the best decision you ever make. It's also important to know the difference between normal factory marks and true errors. Sometimes, coins pick up scratches or damage after leaving the mint, and that kind of wear does not increase their value. True mint errors occur during the minting process itself, and these are the features collectors seek. That's why learning how to identify real errors is key to understanding a coin's potential. Another interesting aspect of the 2001D dime is how certain varieties have quietly gained popularity online. As social media, YouTube channels, and Facebook collector groups have grown, more people have started sharing photos of unusual dimes. Some have double dies, some have missing elements, and some have dramatic off-center strikes. These real-life examples have inspired new collectors to start searching through their change. The thrill of possibly finding a rare coin inside an ordinary pile is what keeps this hobby alive and growing every year. Even coin dealers have taken notice. Some shops now keep a separate section for modern dime errors, especially from years like 1999, 2000, and 2001, when minting activity was extremely high. And the 2001D dime often stands out among them due to its striking quality and the attractive errors known to exist. When looking at auction results, the pattern becomes clear. Coins that look ordinary at first glance often outperform expectations simply because they survived the minting process in stunning condition. And this trend continues to grow as collectors search for modern rarities. So next time you come across a handful of change, don't underestimate those small silver dimes. Take a few moments to look more closely. You might find a coin worth far more than 10 cents. You might discover a mint mistake that slipped through unnoticed. Or you might uncover a coin so well preserved that it looks as if it was minted yesterday. The 2001D Roosevelt dime offers all these possibilities, and that's what makes it so exciting. And now, as we reach the end of our deep dive, here is the surprising fact collectors often talk about: one of the rarest, highest graded, most desirable examples of the 2001D mint mark Roosevelt dime has sold for an incredible amount, a figure that turns an ordinary 10-cent piece into a treasure. The most valuable 2001D Roosevelt dime ever sold reached a price of $18,476. The story of the 2001 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is much more interesting than most people realize. At first glance, it appears to be an incredibly common modern coin, something you might overlook in your pocket change every single day. But some examples of this penny have shocked collectors, shocked coin grading companies, and shocked everyday people who had no idea a simple modern cent could be worth thousands of dollars. Today, you're about to discover why a 2001 penny that looks ordinary at first sight can actually be hiding unbelievable value, and what exact things you should be looking for when you search through your pocket change, coin jars, or old coin collections passed down from family members. Before we dive deep, imagine this. Someone is casually counting loose change, maybe while cleaning their car, maybe while clearing out an old drawer. And suddenly they find a penny that feels just a little different. Not because it looks shiny or brand new, but because something about it seems special. They take a closer look and realize it's a 2001 penny without a mint mark. Nothing unusual, right? Almost every coin from Philadelphia has no mint mark. But then they notice the condition, the brightness, the sharpness of the details, or even a strange error on its surface. That tiny moment of curiosity leads to a coin grading submission. And then the shocking news arrives. That penny, which they almost didn't even bother looking at, is actually worth thousands of dollars. This is the magic of coin collecting. It's the reason people search through their pennies every single day. Not just for rare old pieces like wheat pennies or Indian head cents, but for newer coins too, especially those made after the year 2000. Because while millions of 2001 pennies were produced, only a handful have the qualities that make collectors go crazy at auctions. So let's break it all down. What makes a 2001 no mint mark penny valuable? What unusual features make collectors fight over it? And how can you tell if the penny you're holding could secretly be worth a small fortune? The first and most important factor is always condition. Coin collectors call this the grade. A penny from 2001 that has been circulating for years will usually have scratches, discoloration, dents, or faded details. These are normal signs of wear. But every now and then, a coin survives the journey through circulation almost untouched. Somehow it avoids pockets, cash registers, concrete floors, and plastic jars. When a coin like this stays in pristine shape, it becomes extremely desirable for collectors who specialize in modern U.S. coinage. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC assign grades such as MS60, MS65, MS67, and in extremely rare cases, MS68 or MS69. Each step up the grading scale can sometimes double or triple the value. For the 2001 penny, the jump in value becomes massive above MS67. This is where the coin transforms from a common 1-cent piece into something collectors compete for. But condition isn't the only way a 2001 penny can be valuable. Another thing to watch for is errors. Some errors are extremely rare but instantly boost the value of a modern coin. There are off-center strikes, where the design is shifted toward the rim. There are broad strikes, where the coin is struck without a proper collar, causing the edges to expand. There are double dies, where parts of the lettering, numbers, or design appear duplicated and slightly offset. There are die cracks, cuds, clipped planchets, and improperly annealed planchets that change the color of the coin. These errors can transform a 1-cent coin into a high-value collectible. For example, a 2001 penny with a dramatic off-center strike can easily sell for hundreds or sometimes thousands depending on the severity of the error. A double die, if dramatic enough, becomes a true treasure. Some collectors spend years searching specifically for double dies because they know that modern double die coins are among the most valuable modern pieces in circulation. Even small errors can lead to big value, especially when they are combined with high-grade preservation. Imagine a 2001 penny with a visible die crack and nearly flawless surfaces. That kind of combination becomes irresistible to collectors looking for unique pieces. Another thing that influences value is eye appeal. This includes the shine, the color, and the overall beauty of the coin. Copper-plated zinc pennies like the 2001 Lincoln cent can tone in unusual colors over time. Some pennies develop vibrant red, pink, violet, blue, or gold tones. When the toning is natural and attractive, collectors pay serious money to own such pieces. Beautiful toning is rare because most pennies turn brown or dull due to daily use. That's why when a 2001 penny surfaces with rainbow-like colors or brilliant luster, it immediately draws attention in auctions. But here's the surprising part: many people throw away these valuable varieties without realizing what they had. Many simply assume that modern pennies are worthless. They never take the time to examine their coins closely. But the few who do take the time, those who inspect their coins under good lighting or with a magnifier, are the ones who discover life-changing coins in the most unexpected places. Collectors often share stories of coins found in pocket change, in old jars that had been untouched for decades, or inside rolls from the bank. Penny roll hunters especially love the 2001 no-mint-mark pennies because even though most rolls contain ordinary pieces, every few thousand rolls someone eventually finds something extraordinary. And here's something even more exciting. As time goes on, high-grade modern pennies become harder to find. While millions were made in 2001, most were used in everyday circulation and damaged. Each year, more are lost, destroyed, or worn beyond collectability. That means the number of high-grade survivors becomes smaller and smaller. With fewer available, the value of the highest quality coins continues to go up. Even more interesting is that grading companies have reported that extremely high-grade examples, especially MS-68 and above, are extremely uncommon for the 2001 penny. This adds rarity on top of rarity, creating a perfect storm of collector demand. When collectors compete, prices explode. That is exactly what has happened over the years as more people have begun to realize how important modern Lincoln cents are to the hobby. Even the simplest coins can break auction records when they have the right qualities. And the 2001 penny is a perfect example of that phenomenon. Now imagine someone discovering a flawless 2001 penny tucked inside an old coin album or sitting unnoticed in a jar of pennies stored since the early 2000s. It might look shiny and clean, maybe even as if it just came from the mint. A coin like that has the potential to make history in the auction world. Stories like this have happened before, and they continue happening every year. This is why collectors are constantly telling people, check your change. Don't ignore pennies just because they seem ordinary. The biggest surprises often come from the most unexpected places. And the next valuable discovery can be sitting right in front of you. Now that you have a deeper understanding of why a 2001 no-mint-mark Lincoln penny can be extremely valuable, let's go over exactly what to look for when examining your own coins. Make sure the coin has sharp details, especially in Lincoln's beard, hair, and jacket. Check the rim to see if it's well-formed and free of dents. Look for any signs of doubling on the date or lettering. Examine both sides for errors like cracks or missing elements. And always pay attention to overall appearance. A coin with bright, original color is worth far more than one that has turned brown or dull, and if you think your coin has potential, consider protecting it carefully. Put it in a coin flip, sleeve, or small protective holder to avoid scratches. If the coin looks extremely clean or has any rare error, it may be worth sending it to a grading service. A certified grade can dramatically increase the coin's market value and buyer confidence. Collectors love knowing that a coin has been authenticated by a trusted grading company. And when a coin receives a high grade, it becomes a prized piece that collectors will pay serious money to own. Even a small improvement in grade can make a huge difference. This brings us to the most exciting part of today's video. After all the research, all the auction results, and all the collector discussions, one 2001 no-mint-mark Lincoln penny reached a staggering final value. The highest verified sale for this date, and mint attracted massive attention and stunned the coin community. The final auction hammer price was $45,377. The United States Mint has produced billions of coins over the decades, but every once in a while, collectors stumble upon a modern coin that ends up being far more valuable than anyone ever expected. Today, we will explore one such coin, the United States of America 2020 P. Roosevelt 1 dime. A coin so common, so ordinary at first glance, that most people wouldn't think twice before tossing it into a jar, leaving it in a car cup holder, or handing it over in change at a grocery store. But for collectors, variety hunters, and sharp-eyed treasure seekers, this coin represents more than just 10 cents. It represents the possibility of rarity, the thrill of discovery, and the excitement of finding unexpected value in everyday pocket change. The 2020p Roosevelt dime is a modern coin, minted in the hundreds of millions at the Philadelphia Mint. It features the iconic portrait of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a design that has been used since 1946 to honor one of the most influential presidents in American history. Although the coin is small and often overlooked, its rich history and modern minting variations make it extremely interesting for coin enthusiasts. Now, when people hear about valuable coins, they often imagine ancient gold pieces or early American cents from the 1800s. They don't imagine a shiny little dime from just a few years ago. But what makes the 2020p dime fascinating is that its value does not come from age. It comes from quality, condition, and the presence of rare mint errors. These elements can transform an ordinary coin into a remarkable discovery worth far more than its face value. Before we talk about the value, let's understand the coin itself. On the obverse side, Franklin Roosevelt faces left, along with the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Just beneath Roosevelt's neck sits the mint mark P, indicating the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The date 2020 is placed neatly to the lower right, marking it as one of the more modern entries into the long-running Roosevelt dime series. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the reverse design that has remained unchanged for decades, a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch symbolizing strength. The words United States of America and one dime complete the design, surrounding the elements in a classic and recognizable layout. So, what makes a 2020p dime valuable? Condition is important. Mint state coins, especially those with perfect or near-perfect grades, are always in demand for modern collectors who specialize in assembling high-quality registry sets. A 2020p dime that shines with no scratches, no contact marks, and retains its full mint luster can instantly rise in value because gem-quality modern coins are much harder to find than most people realize. Think of how coins travel. They bounce around in machines, drop into buckets, get mixed with thousands of others, and are handled multiple times. Finding one straight from a mint roll or uncirculated special set that has been preserved in pristine condition is something collectors always appreciate. High-grade examples can command strong premiums because the competition for top-graded coins is intense. But beyond condition, there is something even more exciting: mint errors. Error coins are among the most popular items in numismatics today, and the 2020p dime has several known varieties that collectors actively search for. These include off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, die chips, missing clad layers, misaligned dies, and even double die varieties. A double die error, for example, occurs when elements of the design appear doubled, giving the coin a distinctive look easily recognizable even to beginners. A missing clad layer error results in a dime that appears copper-colored on one side, almost like a penny, because the outer nickel layer was not applied correctly. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is shifted outward, also attract strong collector interest. These errors happen during the minting process and are rare, making them incredibly desirable. It's these unusual, eye-catching mistakes that turn a regular 2020p dime into a standout piece that collectors will pay a premium for. Another factor that influences value is the simple rule of supply and demand. Even though millions of 2020 dimes were minted, not all of them survive in great condition. Many get scratched, worn, or damaged. Others end up lost, spent, or circulated heavily. Only a small percentage remain in pristine quality, and an even smaller number feature dramatic errors. The rarer the coin in top condition or with striking visual errors, the higher its value in the collector market. Collectors also appreciate the historical significance of modern coins. The year 2020 was unforgettable for many reasons, and coins minted during that time carry a subtle historical weight. People often enjoy collecting coins from notable years because they act as little time capsules, reminders of major events that shaped society. Even modern coins can hold emotional and historical value beyond their appearance. Now imagine this scenario: you're sorting through a handful of change you received from a convenience store. You notice a dime that looks a little shinier, a little cleaner than the rest. You hold it up to the light and see the 2020 year and the P mint mark. Maybe it has a small error on the reverse, maybe the strike is unusually bold, Or maybe the coin is simply untouched, crisp, and gleaming. Suddenly, what was just pocket change turns into a potential treasure. This excitement is what drives so many coin collectors. The idea that value can be found anywhere, at any time, in something as simple as a dime makes the hobby thrilling and endlessly surprising. Many collectors start their journeys because they found an unusual coin like this in circulation. A discovery sparks curiosity, and curiosity turns into a passion for learning, researching, and collecting. Whether you're a new collector or a seasoned expert, the 2020 Roosevelt dime offers a fun opportunity to explore the world of modern minting. It's affordable, accessible, and full of potential. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars to participate in this hobby. Sometimes, the most valuable items are the ones right in your pocket. And that's the magic of coin collecting. This tiny silver-colored coin has created excitement across online marketplaces, coin shows, and collector forums. Some examples, particularly those with stunning mint errors or exceptional grading, have sold for prices that surprise even experienced collectors. The story of the 2020 dime reminds us that modern coins should never be ignored. Even newer coins can deliver unexpected value. So as you go about your day, don't forget to check your change, search through coin rolls, and look closely at every 2020 dime you come across. Every coin has a story, and some coins have a hidden value waiting to be discovered. Your next incredible find might be sitting unnoticed in your wallet at this very moment. And now, for the value you've been waiting for. The highest reported price for a special example of the 2020 Roosevelt 1 dime reached $11,266. Today's video takes you deep inside the surprising world of modern American coinage, where a small, everyday dime that most people overlook can actually be hiding extraordinary value. If you've ever wondered whether the coins in your pocket, purse, drawer, or even under your car seat could be worth far more than 10 cents, then stay with me. Because the 2022 mint mark Roosevelt 1 dime has been shocking collectors with rare varieties, surprising mint errors, and hidden value that most people never hear about. What seems like an ordinary modern dime can turn into a discovery that changes someone's entire understanding of what modern coins are capable of being worth. And yes, some of these tiny silver-colored pieces of metal have crossed the auction block for prices that no one expected. Before diving into the rare examples and the values that make collectors chase this coin, let's begin with a little understanding of what makes the 2022 Roosevelt dime a subject of interest. The Denver Mint produces billions of coins every year, and the Roosevelt dime is one of the most commonly seen pieces of circulating money. It's small, lightweight, and used constantly. But the very fact that it is so common creates the illusion that all 2022 dimes are the same. That illusion has fooled many people into ignoring the coin entirely. What collectors know, however, is that modern coins often hide rare errors that come out of the minting process, and those errors can turn a simple dime into a valuable collectible. The design of the Roosevelt dime hasn't changed much since its introduction in 1946. The obverse features the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, honoring his leadership and his connection to the March of Dimes campaign. The reverse carries the torch, the olive branch, and the oak branch, symbols of strength, peace, and victory. These are details we've all seen countless times, yet when examined carefully, every detail matters. A slight misalignment, a doubling of a letter, a shifted strike, or a clash of dies can instantly set a coin apart from millions of others. When the 2022 dimes were released into circulation, most people didn't give them a second thought. But coin collectors began taking a closer look, and before long, reports of unexpected varieties began appearing. Some of the earliest discoveries involved subtle die chips, small raised bumps caused by damage within the die itself. People who found them began sharing photos online, and demand slowly began to rise. But the true excitement came when major mint errors started appearing. One of the most notable categories involves off-center strikes. Imagine a dime where the design is pushed to one side of the coin, leaving blank metal exposed on the other side. These errors happen when the coin blank, or planchet, is not positioned correctly during the striking process. A 5% off-center dime might be interesting but not incredibly valuable. However, a 30% or greater off-center strike instantly attracts collectors willing to pay big money. Another error type found among 2022 D dimes is the broad strike error. This happens when a coin is struck without the collar that normally keeps the coin perfectly round. The result is a stretched, expanded dime that looks unusual and fascinating. Because these errors are visually striking, they tend to sell quickly when they appear at auction. Double die errors also emerged. These are among the most prized errors in all of numismatics because they show clear doubling on the letters, numbers, or portrait details. While it's rare for modern coins to show dramatic doubling like older classics, even mild doubling on a 2022 D dime can attract strong collector interest because it confirms that the die shifted during production. One surprising area of value comes from coins struck on the wrong planchet. These are extremely rare but incredibly valuable. Imagine finding a dime that was accidentally struck on a blank intended for a penny, nickel, or foreign coin. These are the kinds of errors that go from pocket change to life-changing money in an instant. And then there are the high-grade examples. Even without a dramatic error, collectors will pay impressive prices for a 2022 D dime that grades at the top of the scale. Mint State 68 or Mint State 69 examples can command several $100s to over $1,000, depending on the buyer and the condition. Flawless surfaces, sharp strike, full details. These qualities make high-grade modern coins challenging and desirable. But what truly pushes a coin into the spotlight is its story. Recently, one collector submitted a batch of 2022 D dimes for grading after noticing a unique texture on the reverse. When the grading company examined the coin, they discovered a rare die clash, where the two dies struck each other without a planchet in between. This left faint outlines of the obverse on the reverse and vice versa. This error is subtle but incredibly appealing to specialists. When the coin reached auction, it fetched a price that made headlines in coin forums and sparked even more interest in examining modern pocket change. The real magic of modern era coins is that anyone can find them. You don't need years of skill, deep knowledge, or expensive equipment. All you need is curiosity, patience, and good lighting. That's why videos like this are so important. They remind viewers that treasure still circulates in the pockets of everyday people. The rarity of some of these 2022 D dimes isn't tied to the year alone, it's tied to the specific circumstances of the minting process. A momentary misalignment, a damaged die, an unexpected jam in the machinery. These tiny events create the errors that collectors crave. So what should you look for when checking your own 2022 D Roosevelt dimes? Start with the basics. Examine the mint mark, the date, and the portrait. Look for doubling on the letters of the word Liberty, the motto, and the date. Tilt the coin under light to catch any extra lines or shadows on the design. Check the edges for stretching or irregularities that could indicate a broad strike. Look for missing details, which can signal a weak strike. Check for any missing clad layer, where the copper core shows through the surface. And always look for off-center strikes. They're one of the easiest errors to spot. Collectors love errors that are dramatic and visually obvious. A dime with a large die crack running across Roosevelt's head or neck can attract strong attention. A dime with a retained interior die break, known as a cud, can be even more valuable. These raised, blob-like areas caused by broken portions of the die create unique shapes that no other coin has. Each one is a one-of-a-kind piece of minting history. As interest in modern eras grows, so do the prices. Auction houses have seen modern dimes that would have been ignored 20 years ago now reaching impressive price levels. And some of the rarest 2022 D errors have already proven that even newly minted coins can reach values that surprise collectors. But let's be clear, not every 2022 D dime is worth money. Most are simply worth 10 cents. The value lies in the rarity, the condition, and the error itself. That's why education matters. The more you examine coins, the more patterns you recognize, and the easier it becomes to identify something special. Many people have found valuable coins simply because they looked closely at something others overlooked. Think about the person who discovered the now famous dramatic off-center 2022 D dime. They found it in their change from a grocery store. They could have spent it without a second thought. Instead, they paused, noticed something unusual, and made a discovery that turned a 10-cent coin into a highly collectible piece that eventually sold for an astonishing amount. That is the beauty of coin collecting. It transforms simple objects into stories, into treasures, into relics of human error and technology. And in the world of modern coinage, the surprises just keep coming. The 2022 Roosevelt dime stands as a perfect example of how even the smallest and most ordinary coin can hide extraordinary value. So keep searching your change. Keep examining every coin carefully. Because the moment you least expect it, you might be holding a rare 2022 dime that collectors all over the world would love to own. And as we've seen, the prices these coins can reach are far beyond what most people imagine. In fact, one exceptionally rare example has already sold for an impressive amount. That coin brought $49,266.